ICT is such a popular topic in all walks of education these days. So I'm going to hand you over now to Damien.
Okay, thanks very much, Niall, and hello, everyone. Um, as Niall said, we're looking at how to use ICT to support special education teaching in the post-primary classroom. I'm a teacher myself, so I'm kind of just displaying some of the tools that I've used or our school has used over the years. And if you have any queries, you can pop them in the chat there, as Niall said, or if you come up with anything after the webinar, you can email me there on damien.duffy@sculware.trim.ie. So most of the areas we're looking at this evening are tools that are embedded in Microsoft. So some of the areas we're going to take a look at are the immersive reader, present live, dictate, subtitles, OneNote, rehearse coach, and then some just general device setup that might be of assistance in the classroom. So as I said, most of them would be around the Microsoft learning tools. So the first one we're going to take a look at is the immersive reader. And how we're going to demonstrate this is most of the areas will be through demonstration rather than just PowerPoint. So the first one here we'll take a look at is the immersive reader. So I'm just going to come out of my PowerPoint here and I'm going to open up a Word document. So the immersive reader is available on the Word app, and it's also available on the online version through your Office 365 account. If you're an Office 365 school, you should have a email address from your ICT coordinator. The immersive reader is basically just a read aloud technology. You have a text here. I've just copied in some text. And if you click on the start of the text, we can get it to read it out aloud for us. So if you come across the top here to view, just apologies now, I just need to change the top here, if you can bear with me. Across the top here, you should have a view tab. When you click on view, you come across then to immersive reader. So it's this one here called immersive reader. You click on it and it opens up your Word document in a new form. It's kind of changed the layout of it ever so slightly. And there's a couple of things you can do before you can read aloud. You can change the column weight and color page, but I'll just show you what it's like when you click on the read aloud first of all.
The spectacular northern lights that were on display across the country last night were cores.
I'm just going to pause that now for a second. So it's basically reading the text that you've put into your Word document. Now, if you want to change the pace of it or the language, you just click on the little settings tab here that's opened, and you can change the speed. You can change the voice to male or female, depending on what you favor, what the student favors. You can then come across on the top here, there's some little things you can do to it. You can change the column width, as I say. So it's set to narrow, you can set it to moderate. You can change the color background, the page background. So some students might prefer that border to be in yellow or blue, depending on their learning styles. You can also change the line focus, which is handy. So you can set it to 1 line or 3 lines. And what that does is it kind of just narrows a band to the particular lines that you want read out.
Sun, according to Astronomy Ireland, and could appear for a second night in a row tonight. The natural light display, also known as the aurora borealis, is the result of collisions between...
So you can see that the border is moving down as the text is being read out. So some students might prefer that. So you can turn that off. You can go back to your normal mode. So that's basically the immersive reader in Microsoft Word. If you want to go back to your standard form, you just click on the close immersive reader and it brings you back to your normal view of the Word document. The immersive reader also works in your web browsers, so such as Microsoft Edge. So I've just opened up here your Microsoft Edge again, which is a Microsoft web browser. And I'm just going to click on a article here from RTE. Now, it doesn't work in every website. It will work in your news websites or your education websites like the Science News Explorers, things like that. And up the top here, you'll see a read aloud. So it'll just basically read the text aloud.
U.S. Supreme Court begins arguments in Trump ballot case.
So I click on that little A again, and it'll stop reading aloud. But what might be more beneficial is the immersive reader. And just take a look before we go into the immersive reader of how heavy the web browser is of some like all the entertainment business. There's links here to Facebook, Twitter, and so on. But when you go into your immersive reader, it lays it out a little bit nicer for the student. So it's put it in a text down the middle. It's got rid of all those ads around the edge and so on. And up the top, then you can, again, go back to your read aloud.
US Supreme Court begins arguments.
You can change the voice options. It gives you a little bit more here within the online version. So there's endless amount of voice options you can pick from there. You can change the speed of the voice and so on. If I come back out of it here into my immersive reader, there's also other things you can do here, the text preference. So you can change the text size. So maybe some students have visual difficulties that you have to zoom in on the text. You can change the font, the layout of the font. And again, you can put your themes, your color backgrounds. So you might want to put your yellow. Some students might prefer that black with the white text. So there's different things you can do there. You can text space, you can widen it out a little bit more. So there's a lot of different things you can do there within the text preference. The read aloud or the reading preference, once again, is the focusing on a particular line. But an interesting part of the online version here is that you can translate it. So you can translate the article into a language. So maybe you're a French teacher, you want to translate it into French. It will convert the article into French, and you can click on and translate the entire page. So it's turning it into your English article into your French. So might be handy for a language teacher to be able to turn it into your different languages, your French or your Irish. To come back out, just click on the little book up the top, exit immersive reader, and you're back then to the original web browser. So that's the immersive reader in Word and the internet. We'll touch on it again in a few minutes when we're looking in our OneNote. But just to kind of move on, because I know your evening is precious as well here, that's the immersive reader. Next area we'll take a look at here is what's known as the Present Live. Now, if you have a phone handy, if you're not using it here for your presentation to view this, maybe just take it out there for a minute and you kind of give this one a go yourself, just to kind of visualize what the students might see. Now, the Present Live only works through PowerPoint online. So you have to go through your Office 365. So I'll just show you what that's looking like here. So you're in your Office 365, you open up a PowerPoint document, and it looks like this. So I'm on the online version. Unfortunately, what's known as the Present Live won't work on the PowerPoint app. And basically what this is, it's an online version of your PowerPoint. And the student, maybe who isn't a good school attender, maybe they're absent a lot, maybe it's a student who finds it hard to take down notes the speed you're going in class, and they might need to look at it on their phone as they go. So how it works is, again, I'll demonstrate it here, and if you have your phone, it would be great. So you go across as your teacher to slideshow. Underneath that, there's a little box here that says Present Live. If you click on the little arrow here, it gives you two options. It has one that says only people in your organization. So that means that if your students have your school email address, that only people within your school domain can watch your presentation. But I'm going to click on it here that anyone. So that means that anyone outside with the link can watch the presentation. Then I click on Present Live. And hopefully you should see like an image of a phone here with a QR code. And if you go to your internet on your phone and type in this code here that starts at ppt.ms/. So I'll give you maybe a couple of minutes there just to log into it. Just so, again, you can see what it would look like as a student. I'm just going to log in here to myself as well. Again, this can be very handy for those students maybe working from home. As I said, mightn't come to school, need time taking down notes, need to look back on something. Students maybe with hearing difficulties would rather read something rather than listen to the teacher. So anyone that's in there, I see a good few people have joined, which is great. You should be able to see my spoken language being dictated down the bottom. It's been should be coming across your screen down the bottom of your phone. I'll just give it maybe 1 or 2 more seconds there, so a few people might want to join it. Just those people who have joined, you should see like down the bottom you have it should say English, and there should be a little smiley face, and I'll show you how they work now in a second. So apologies for anyone that might just be trying to get in there, but I'll just click on show my slides now. So you're in my presentation, hopefully on your phone. It should start with that blank slide. It just says data collection on the top. Now, if I go to my next slide, it should also be appearing on your phone. So again, this is you at home looking at my presentation on your phone and also getting the text coming down the bottom. Now, if English maybe not the first, may not be the first language of the student, you can go down the bottom and click on the little English, and you can translate my script into your desired language. So you can go down there to French or Italian or Irish or whatever it may be, and it translates what I'm saying into the desired language. What you can also do is down the bottom, there's like the smiley face, and you can put a thumbs up, and it comes on the teacher's screen to show that the students are understanding it or maybe not understanding it. What's also handy about it is that as the student, as you can, if you're looking at it there on your phone, there's a little arrow halfway down the screen, which means you can go back and forth between the two slides. So again, a student who might be struggling to keep up with your PowerPoint can go back to the previous slide on their phone. A good thing about it is, as a teacher, if I go back to the first slide, the student can't go forward to the next slide. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. So the student can't go ahead, but they can always go back. So if I have 10 slides and I go to the 5th slide, the student can only see slides 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They can't see the next slides. So hopefully that makes a bit of sense for people out there. And then as a teacher, to end this presentation, I just come out of my PowerPoint. It gives me an option here. So on your phone, you should still be able to see my slides, which is available for up to 30 more minutes. So again, students might be finding it difficult to take down the notes. So you have 30 more minutes to take it down, and then the session will automatically end. Or as a teacher, I could click here on end session automatically. So I'm going to end the session now, which means that you've now been thrown out of that PowerPoint on your phone. So hopefully some people found that maybe of a little bit of interest, and you might find some uses for it in your own teaching and learning. Just to go back to my presentation here, so that's the present live. Next area we might look at is what's known as dictate. This is a speech-to-text technology, works in Microsoft Word, the Microsoft Word app, the online version as well. I'm just going to show you through the an app here. So I'm opening up a blank Word document here. You go across to your Home tab. So I'm clicking on Home here, and you should have a little microphone here that says Dictate. So when I click on Dictate, it's basically going to type exactly what I say, full stop. I have a red pen, comma, a blue pen, comma, a pink pen, and a black pen, full stop, end dictation. Now you can see there that it's putting in my full stops when I say full stop, puts in commas. It's putting in my grammar, so is spelled correctly. It should stop the dictation when I say end dictation. If it doesn't, you just click on the microphone and it'll end it for you. So to start it, you click on the microphone, speak into it, click on the microphone, and it will stop dictating. Very handy for those students that might have writing difficulties, broken a hand, maybe just needs a device for a couple of weeks in school, maybe doing homework, they can do it this way. As I said, it lets you write using your own voice. It could be handy maybe in your own school tests. Maybe students, rather than having a scribe, they could do it through voice recording here through Dictate. Now, it doesn't work on the offline version, so maybe come state exams, if anyone's out there that knows with the state exams, you have to turn off the Wi-Fi on devices. So unfortunately, it won't work then. So it'll only work with Wi-Fi enabled. But again, maybe in your in-house exams, you could use it and trial it that way. So that is the dictate function. Again, it's available on the online version as well. I'm just showing you through the app version. I'm going to come back to my PowerPoint. I hope I'm not going too fast here. The subtitles is the next area, which is quite handy for people. Can support those students again with hearing difficulties. We used it when our Ukrainian students joined our school. We could put subtitles onto our whiteboard, and I'll show you how you can change the language of your subtitles as well. So to use your subtitles in PowerPoint, you come to your slideshow across the top here. You come across, you should have a captions and subtitles, and you have to click on the Always Use Subtitles tab first of all. If you click on the little indent here, it says Subtitle Settings. So my spoken language is English and my subtitle language is English, which is fine, so I'm happy with that. Then I have to play my PowerPoint in order for the subtitles to appear. So when I play my PowerPoint, down the bottom, you should now see my spoken language coming up as text down the bottom. So again, this will really support those students who may have a hearing difficulty or just needs that extra support to be able to read what you're saying if they're taking down notes. If I just exit out of my PowerPoint, just to show you a couple of things around that, with your subtitle settings, you can change the subtitle language. So if you click on subtitle language here, you can change that. As I said, we had this set up to Ukrainian when we had Ukrainian students in our class. You can change it to whatever language you prefer here. Let's just find one here if I can find Ukrainian. Here we are. So you might have actually noticed, anyone that's using it, Irish is still a preview language with a lot of the embedded apps in Microsoft. So it's still in the trial period, and it's like that, I think, for a good while, but it's still highlighted here in the preview languages. I'll just click on it. Again, someone can correct me if it's wrong here as we go, but if I play it again, what I'm saying should be transcribed down the bottom of the screen in Irish. So that's the subtitles built into your PowerPoint, online PowerPoint, or the PowerPoint app. Again, unfortunately though, just to go back, the Present Live feature is only available on the online PowerPoint, whereas this is available in both. Okay, just remember that if you're coming out of a class and you want to present your PowerPoint again without subtitles, you have to click on this little box that says always show subtitles. So now I don't want to show my subtitles. So hopefully that made a bit of sense. Yeah, the next area, which is a big area and could do with a lot more time, is around OneNote. And basically what I want to kind of just show you is a few areas how OneNote can support additional educational needs students. Now, your OneNote is a great place for creating, sharing, collaborating with your students and other teachers. But I'm just going to show you a few areas. I'm going to assume that maybe you've used OneNote, so I'm not going to show you how to set up the OneNote. We did that on a separate webinar if you want to check a video on that. But for tonight, I'm just going to show you a couple of areas on how you can use it. So I've created my OneNote through a team. I've created a team called Maths NEC. I have my class notebook, and I've just opened up my OneNote in the app version. Personally, I just prefer using the app version. The features are a little bit easier to navigate. So here I've created my OneNote. I've just created 3 chapters here, and I just want to show you a few little things that some teachers might find helpful, or maybe you've used them before yourselves. So one little thing we could do is, I'm just going to write down a couple of words here. I've just said hello. I'm just going to say my name, but anyway, let's just keep 2 words. If we come up here to this lasso, this little feature up on the top left here, if you bring that down and cover the text that you've handwritten, come up here to where it says ink to text. It will then turn your handwriting or the student's handwriting into typed text. Again, it could be handy for students who have maybe their handwriting isn't great. Maybe you are writing out a question for an exam or something like that. Rather than typing it, then you can turn it into the typed text. That also works for mathematics. So we could have something like, we could have an equation here. So let's say 2x is equal to 4. I'm going to lasso that once again. And hopefully it picks up my handwriting. And I want to go into maths. So you can see here, it's turning my 2x equals 4 into maths. And I insert that. Again, I can make that bigger depending on what size you want it to. Go to the Home tab and then select, maybe I want it to be font 18. So it makes it that little bit bigger. What you can also do here for, again, it's called Maths Assist. And this will help those teachers who might be teaching maths, or maybe for resource teachers who might be taking students for resource maths, and they just need an extra few questions or a little bit of support. But we can get the Maths Assist. Again, it's under the Draw tab here, up on the top here. First of all, I need to, once again, lasso my equation. Again, I'll get to a few areas in English now in a minute. I'll just show a couple of things on maths. You go up here to your Maths Assist. And what you can get it to do is, you can get it to show my answer, solve for X. So it's showing me the answer here. Now, what you can also do for those students who are really struggling, you can click here on steps for solving the linear equation. So it actually can show me how I solved that equation. It looks a little bit small, hard to follow there. So once again, you can go in here to your immersive reader. And you can get it to read out the steps for the students.
Steps for solving linear equation. Step 1. Divide.
Okay, so there again, the immersive reader is embedded in OneNote as well. You can come up the top here. You can change your text preferences. Once again, you can enlarge the text. You can change the font, change the background. Maybe students prefer that yellow. All them features are in the OneNote as well. Your reading preference, you can come in here and change things around. You can actually translate them, but I'll show you that in a second in a different section in OneNote. So to come back out of that, just hit on the X and you're back to your original OneNote. To exit the Maths Assist, click on the little X here. But like I said, for maybe those resource teachers, you can also create practice questions. So if you click on practice questions, it will generate another question similar to the one that you've created out here. So it has 4x equals 20. Click on your answer, you check it, and then you can go to another one. So it will create endless amount of practice questions similar to the one that you've written here. So you could make up simultaneous equations, anything you want, it will create similar ones. As I said, click on the X and you're back to the overall screen. So that's just one little thing. What you can also do in OneNote is you can import, say, an exam paper. Maybe you want to write over an essay, a picture, an exam paper. So come up here to the top and click on Insert. I want to insert a file printout. So I want the actual document to go in, not a link to the document. And I want to put in an exam paper. So I've just opened one here and you can see it goes in very quick. There's the sample paper that I want to put in. Now, the good thing about this is, again, to support those students who might have sight difficulties, you can zoom in. The OneNote is brilliant for zooming, moving around, things like that. You can then, with your stylus pen, if you have the Microsoft Surface Pro or something similar, you can draw on it. So you can start solving the question on the handout. You can highlight things. You can draw on it. So you have shapes here. You can circle around things. You can change the colors of that. So it's quite handy. There's loads of things you can do. The rulers are very handy if you're drawing shapes and things like that in maths. And again, you zoom in on it. You can really focus in on a particular part for your students. So that's important. Again, I'm showing you here for maths, but that could easily be an essay and you're going through them, highlighting where the common mistakes were, or maybe the adverbs, little things like that. So you might find it handy. Another little feature just before we move away from it for a second is you can embed videos. So students who might have different learning styles might come across a video on YouTube. You might want to embed a video, get the students then to watch the video in their own time. If they have the OneNote app on their phone, they can check this OneNote and read back on it. So again, students who might be missing your class, might be a bit slow taking down solutions, they can go to this OneNote on their own device and they can scroll back through all of your previous examples or your previous classes, depending on how you set it up. So this is accessible for you and the students. So like I said, if you go to, say, a video that you might have had created or something like that, I'm just going to go to a YouTube video here if I can. I'm going to just copy a link. So if you right click and copy on that link, I'm just going to bring one in here. So right click and copy, go back to your OneNote and then right click and paste the link to your video. And then your video has been embedded in the OneNote that the students can watch then in their own time. So it's a great way of building resources, sharing and collaborating with your students. Little things that might help some teachers, maybe in the languages. I've just opened up a blank one here. So I've created loads of little tabs here if it was like chapter 1, chapter 2, but just maybe for a language teacher or even maths teachers. Again, I'm in the draw tab here. Come across the top to format background. You can line your OneNote. So again, teachers might prefer having it lined. You can zoom in on it and you can type on it, or you might be using your stylus pen to write on it as well. So it might be, depending on the teacher, they might prefer that. You might prefer in maths to put it as a grid. Other teachers might prefer, maybe if you're doing one-to-one resource hours, students might prefer it in the yellow background or maybe the blue background. So you can change all these little things that might help students out. So I just thought I'd mention that there. If we come down here again, I've just brought in a document here just so I can show you the immersive reader once again and things like that. You also have the dictate feature built into it. So if you click on dictate, speak into it, it will put your put it to text. Your immersive reader is in the View tab. So if you click on the immersive reader, now this one has a little bit more uses than the app version of Word. And I'll just show you a couple of things. So once again, if you click on play here, it will start reading out the text. You can come up the top here. You can change the size of the text. You can change the backgrounds, the colors, and so on. But just one little feature I just want to show you here, maybe some of you have seen it before, is across here on the reading. So you can click on this little one here called Picture Dictionary, and I'll show you how this works in a second. And I can translate this text. So imagine I want to translate it into French or Irish. Let's just click on French because it's closest here. And I want to translate by word. So if I come back out to my text here, maybe a French teacher might correct us if we're wrong here, but if I click on it, it is translating the word into French. Now what you can also do is you can click on it, the little speaker, and it will pronounce the word for us. So that's up here. Click on the reading preference and you click on your language. You can translate the whole document if you want into French. But if you just want them to maybe just check a word or two, just click on the word and then you can pronounce it.
Pure.
So that's something handy. What you can do is it works on some words or languages, picture dictionary. So sometimes it shows a word of what it, or a picture of what it may mean as well, but it doesn't seem to be showing there. Like I said, you can also go to Irish, but I think it's in the previews languages. So I don't think, just trialing it myself, that you can't click on the speaker. So let me just show you what I mean by that. Let's go Irish. Let me pass it here, Irish. Okay. So you click on a word, it's showing the picture of it, which I wanted, but I can't click on the little speaker. So obviously it's still in that preview mode in Irish, but it's showing the translation at least. If you want to come out of that, you click on the X up the top and you're back to your original document here. One other area I wanted us to show you there before we get out of our OneNote is the review. You might also want to just translate it. So you can click on the translate and you can translate selected text. So it's a bit like the immersive reader, but rather than going into the immersive reader every time, you could just select a word here. So imagine I just want to translate the word lights. I can come up here and click on translate, select the text, and then down on the right here, you select the language that you want to translate it. So I've set it there to French. So could be just handy for students that maybe just need that extra little bit of assistance. The technology can help them translate a word. So that's under the review and under translate. So that's a crash course on how OneNote can be useful for those students with additional educational needs and how you can support them there through the different features within it. So I'm just going to come back out of that. Before I move away from OneNote, if you don't mind, some people might want to just see in Teams here. So if I come back to my class notebook in Teams, maybe some of you have seen this before, how to share a document with your students. So I'm not on the app version here now, so I'm just in Teams for just 1 minute here. So if I'm on my class notebook, I just click on my class notebook and say, for instance, I have a sample essay or a sample solution that I want to share with my students. And I have it on Team up on my OneNote, but I want to then distribute it or send it out to each of your individual students' own OneNote. So it goes to their file. You can click on distribute a page, and I want to distribute an individual distribution, maybe it's a group one, or maybe it's just a page I want to distribute. And when you click on that over on the right-hand side here, you can see where it's going to be distributed to. So you can classify what file you want that to be sent to your students in. Now, if you want, you can go a little bit further in your content library. Imagine I wanted to share that chapter 3, that text there. I can then select where do I want it to go. I want it to go into their class notebook and I can click on distribute. So then that's going to go to each of the students within my class. I only have one student in my class here, Damien Duffy, but that document has now been distributed into each student's own OneNote. So like I said, if it was a sample solution, a sample essay, it'd be a great way of sharing it rather than having maybe the student taking it down themselves. Again, you can distribute it to individual students. You don't need to distribute it to the whole class. So that's just an extra little feature there in Teams that I just thought might be handy. And just getting to the last few areas here, Next area is what's known as rehearse coach. Now, this could be handy for teachers of languages. It's basically practicing student speech. So it could be handy for students of LCA or TY preparing for interviews, students preparing for orals, I should say. So what it does also is it gives the students immediate feedback. So it's great self-learning for students, supports those students who, again, may be absent a lot and need practice with their orals or their speech. So I'm in a PowerPoint. I'm in, where am I going? I'm going to slideshow up the top here once again. And it's this tab here called Rehearse with Coach. When you click on Rehearse with Coach, it puts me back into my PowerPoint. Down on the bottom right, a little box appears which says Start Rehearsing. Now, a little caveat, you kind of need to be talking for a good few minutes in order to get detailed and proper feedback. I'm just going to give it a go here for about 30 seconds. But when I click on Start Rehearsing, it's recording what I'm saying. And if I keep going using the same stuttering and I'm making the same mistake quite often, and I go, you can see there it's telling me that I'm using quite a lot. And if you start talking really, really fast, and if you're talking really fast for a long period of time, it'll start coming up in the little dialog box that you're talking too fast, or it might tell you that you're talking too slow. So again, you need to be doing it for a long time in order to get proper feedback, which is live coming across down the bottom here. So there you can actually see my pace. It's telling me to try speak a little slower. If you're happy with it, you click on pause. You come out of your PowerPoint as you normally would. So I'm just going to press escape. And it'll automatically generate a report for me, a review. It's telling me here that I talked for about 40 seconds. It tells me how many words I'm speaking per minute. Again, maybe some language teachers would have a lot more information on that and what you want your students to hit. It tells me my average pace down here. Again, the longer you talk, the more detailed this will be. It's also telling me that I'm using this word a lot here. So I'm stuttering, in other words. Repetitive language, telling me here that I'm repeating really quite a lot. And my pitch isn't great. I'm very monotone. I'm not hitting my targets. So again, language teachers, you may find that of use in your class. So again, just to recap on that, that's in slideshow, and you click on Rehearse with Coach. Okay, little bits I just want to show you here on the device setup, which might be helpful for people. But before we get to that, I just want to show you one or two last things, which is part of your device setup in theory. If I come just to a Word document here for a second, again, you remember like some students might prefer that yellow background or blue background. You can change that on your Word documents as well by clicking on Design, coming across here and selecting Page Color, and then you can set it to your blue or your yellow or whatever color you prefer, or whatever color the student prefers. Again, SEN departments might want devices set up in a particular way that doesn't autocorrect spelling, doesn't put capitals, punctuation, things like that. Or coming state exams, for people who are setting up devices for students who are using devices in state exams, you have to turn off all your proofing. So students might want to get into the habit of that earlier rather than later. So to turn off all your proofing, as it's known, you click on your files, scroll down to your options, and here there should be a tab saying proofing. So click on proofing and you can start turning these off. So here it says check spelling as you type. You have to turn that off for the state exams. Marking grammar, flag repeated words. Again, just getting students into the habit of it earlier rather than later. As I said, I'm pretty sure that has to be turned off during your state exams. So that's just to recap on that, that's files, and scroll down to options. Other little things around your device setup, if I go into the settings of my own device here, so I'm going to search settings. This will only take a minute, and I'll show you a couple of things here. So in your settings, you might go down here to accessibility. You could click on text size. So look at the text down on the left-hand side here. It's quite small, but you can make that larger then. So if I want that, I'm going to apply that. It's going to make the text, apologies now, I've saved that on my device. Hopefully I'll come back. It's taking quite a while, apologies now. It's saying please wait. But you can change the size of the text from that. You can also go into your accessibilities and change your cursor size as well. And you can change the size of your cursor or the color of your cursor. Now, unfortunately, there my screen isn't coming back. Ah, there we go. Okay, so I'm not going to change anything there again. As I was saying with the cursor, if you go into your accessibility, you have another option here for your mouse here. You can change the size of it. You can change the color of it. Again, for those students who might find it difficult to see that little tiny little white mouse, that might be something to look at as a teacher. And that would be about it. There's just a couple of areas that you can look at. As I said, we talked about changing the page color. We talked about the proofing of a document. So they're just some of the areas. And look at, you can see that maybe students prefer that larger symbol is appearing. And that is about it. I hope I haven't gone too fast. Niall might be able to just check there if there's any queries or anyone wants to type them in there, but I hope I've kind of touched on all the areas that you're hoping for. But if you have any further queries before Niall jumps in there, you can email me there on damien.duffy@scolmaratrim.ie if you come up with anything after the webinar. But thanks very much for listening.
Super, Damien. Thank you so much. I do have a question here. So the first question is there a way to have the text read in an online textbook?
Yes. I can't remember off the top of my head. We have a student who has a device, and the textbooks are in there's a company, I can't remember off the top of my head the name of it, but they can transfer your normal textbooks. We have our Folens, our textbooks. They put it in a special format, and it can be read back to the student. I can't remember now off the top of my head the name of the crowd who are doing that, but I can check it and feed it back to you if you want. But there is a way. I don't think it's in Microsoft platform though. It's a separate.
I actually, somebody just commented there. Is it called Bookshare, maybe, Damien? Bookshare came in there as a suggestion.
Okay.
There could be many different providers as well of it. So actually somebody else just said that you have to email the book publisher to get this access. Thank you so much, everybody that's popping in there with those.
Yeah, there are ways, as I said. I'm pretty sure it's not Bookshare that we have our student on, but again, the books are transferred into a special form. The student has sight difficulties, and it reads the books. It changes the font. It changes the layout of the books.
Okay, perfect. And I'm actually just keeping an eye. There's a few things coming in here into the chat just based on that. There's a code on the inside cover of textbooks. That's what's coming in there now.
Yeah, that'll get your ebooks that way. Yeah, but I don't think you could, again, does it read it back to you? I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it does, but you can. I know our students would have the ebooks as well, like that. The code on the inside cover, exactly.
Yes, perfect. And I just got a question there as well, just to ask if we're going to get recording. And yes, so this is a recorded webinar. So yes, you will receive a recording of it. So you can look back if you've missed anything, or if there's anything you want to watch again, you can do so. Just double checking out a few more questions may have come in here. And yes, another question just about the recording, which will be shared. So no problems with that. Lots of positive feedback as well, Damien, for you, just to kind of say how useful the content was for them, and how good it will be for their own classroom practice. Somebody also just commented as well, Damien, about the fact that the Ukrainian translation, sometimes it doesn't pick up everything, but like all of these things, hopefully they do improve with time as well.
Absolutely. What we noticed in our, just to jump in on that, what we did in our school, because as teachers move away from the device, it mightn't be so clear. So what we did was we gave a small device to the Ukrainian student on their desk, and we got little cheap microphones, and the teacher wore a little microphone on her collar, and it had a little USB stick that stuck into the student's device. So it was basically going from the teacher's collar to the student device. So the teacher didn't even have to show the presentation with Ukrainian coming across the bottom, because like that, we felt as the student walked away from the device, it was losing the microphone. But if you wore a little mic on your collar, it was a lot clearer when it came onto the device. And maybe that's just something that that person could look at.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dana. That's great. And another question here just came in there. So if we were a Google school as opposed to Microsoft, would it suffice I had my own individual Microsoft license to use these features?
Of course, yeah. Like I know people, if you like, some schools might allow you to bring in your own device and you plug a USB or a HDMI cable into your device. You're kind of using your own initiative, your own apps there in classroom. The only thing that they mightn't have is the likes of your OneNote for sharing with your students, because the students in your school would have to have an Office 365 account to access the OneNote that you're sharing with them. But you could have a OneNote and you could be using it for your whiteboard in class. You could have your own team. You can use your like, look at people in school are using Microsoft Word, but technically you're probably a Google school. So absolutely, you can use these in a Google school. The only problem is that perhaps, as I said, in OneNote for sharing and collaborating with students might be a little bit difficult. But if you have your own Office 365 account, by all means, you can do all of these features.
Great, thank you, Damien. A question just came in there, maybe just if you knew where to get those microphones for students.
Yeah, I got them myself. I can't, again, apologies, I don't know exactly, but if you want me to send it to Niall, or if that person wants to email my email address there on the screen, whichever's easier, I can send you exactly the link that I bought them from.
Okay, super.
Again, it's not in school at the minute, I don't have it to hand, but we
Yeah.
bought about 4 of them at the time. And for the first couple of months, they were handy. As I said, we put it on our collar and we put the USB into a student in a separate device. So you didn't even have to go near the teacher's device, because some students don't want to be looking. I mean, even the Ukrainian students don't want the Ukrainian coming up on the whiteboard. Whereas if they had a tiny little device in front of them or their phone or something, well, then it's just being translated just to that student.
Fantastic. I mean, yeah, they sound brilliant actually. And is there a specific name on those, Damien, do you know, or is it just
On the microphone.
yeah, is there a specific title on them?
Look, I just did my own research myself, and they seem to
Yeah.
work. I can't, again, I can't remember the exact name of it,
Okay.
but I will if that person. I'm sure there's load. Again, I'm looking at their lapel microphone. There's plenty of them out there.
Yeah.
But if you want the particular one I use, just I can send it to Niall or send me an email there, and I'll send you exactly the one I ordered. But as you can see there coming up, there's a couple of different
ones.
types.
Yes.
They're not expensive. They're very cheap.
Okay, well, that's great to know as well. Just a question there, just about the evaluation link and the cert. So if you complete the evaluation link, then your cert will be forwarded then from the education centre directly. So thank you very much. It's a very good question to clarify for everyone as well. And I don't think there's any other questions missed there. If anyone does have a question, you can feel free to email Damien, and he has his email there, and he has welcomed any questions that you might have. So again, lots of thank you coming in here for you, Damien, as well, to, I suppose, congratulate you on a brilliant webinar. Very, very important.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Hope it helped. That's all about.
Exactly, exactly. So everybody, that concludes our webinar this evening. So I'm actually going to leave the chat open here, Damien, just so you can read the praise and the comments coming in for you. Just a reminder about the evaluation link, everybody. So I'll just paste it again here, just in case you didn't get a chance to complete it. So thank you again, Damien, for taking the time to share your expertise with us.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me on.
No problem at all. And thank you, everybody, for your attendance.
Thank you. Yeah, good night.
Bye now.